Alright, good morning everybody. It is January 20th, 8:25 a.m. Couldn't make the video yesterday. It was my daughter's birthday. Super excited in the morning and ran a little later, so I couldn't make the video, unfortunately. But my daughter had a good fifth birthday. Um, let's get into this market, right? Let's just look at the watch list. Today's OPEX options expiration. Okay, so um, let's look into the quick of the watch list here. TNX is up. Nasdaq up 0.72. Crude's up 0.48. ES up 0.27. The dollar's up. The Russell's up 0.12. The Dow's is flat, down 0.03. VIX is down 0.05. It's kind of flat. Bitcoin is down, kind of flat. All right, let's just talk about Netflix. Netflix had earnings, subscriber growth. They are up almost 7% pre-market. So good for Netflix, right? Google is up 3.47. They announced a bunch of layoffs. All right, we have Tesla, a bunch of stocks that are up decently. Okay, I got Roblox, Costco, and the losers right now is Salesforce, down 1.10%. Sector-wise, communications, no surprise there, with Netflix and Google leading the way. No really laggard to speak of. All right, so let's get into the daily chart. And so we finally couldn't get over the 200-day moving average, and this trend line had a lot of negative hawkish Fed speak this week. All right, where did that bring us to? Right, so now if you've been watching, I've been introducing these anchored VWAPs. Okay, anchored VWAP, the purple is from the highs, all-time highs, and this yellow is from the lows. That was put in on October 13th. Okay, you can see we came right down to this VWAP from the lows. Also is the 20-day moving average and the 100-day moving average. So a lot of confluence there to bounce off of. Also, this big balancing range is the top of the balancing range. So a lot of confluence there to believe that we would stop there. So if you're just looking at moving averages, VWAP, you're going to stop there. You're looking at the top of this range, you're going to stop there. So very important level. Okay, very important level. That anchor VWAP is 386.5, just so everybody knows that level. Okay, that's what happened. Now we got that sell-off, but then yesterday we bottomed out there. All right, so that's what's going on there. Let's go look at the Qs. Now in the Qs, I have Q VWAPs here just from the. So the Q VWAP kind of is right on it right now. Now right now the Qs are at 276. This anchored VWAP is at 276. We're almost at 277 right now. So this has acted as support right now. Okay. So going a little closer, let's say this trend line got taken out, obviously. So, and we got the 50-day moving average acting in resistance as well. So that's what's going on in the Qs. And we didn't quite come down to the top of this range in the Qs. Qs have been stronger as of late. Technology, okay. So let's look at that triple headed, because this is very important. Now the bond market ripped down out of this support level and went double bottomed here, and now it's rising today a little bit, but still like hanging around here, right? So we have to see what its next move is going to be. The VIX is back in the 20s, went all the way down to 18, back up to the 20s. No surprise. Today's OPEX. Okay, now that dollar, look at that dollar still bottoming out in this range. Okay, see where that dollar goes. I mean, let's look at this on a weekly chart. So that support level here, 103, was broken, right? But now look, we have a double bottom here, right there. So we pretty much held this. We had a low of 101. That was yesterday. Well, no, I'm sorry. That was just this week. So we hit that low in the dollar. Also resistance up here. Okay, so it's very important to read this dollar. Okay, let's look at a monthly. Yeah, look at that double bottom in the monthly here, and we pushed off of it. Okay, okay, so let's move back here to the SPY. Okay, so we got the VWAP acting as support. All right, let's go over to futures. Alright, so obviously we had a big fall, and why that happened is, if you guys are watching my videos or my live streams, is I talked about the most traded price of the rolling year, which is here, which is around 4,39999, okay, right here, and the most traded price, which now I have as a green box. That's the most traded price of 2023. Okay, they were together up here. Very important. So when we slice through that, that's what caused. Let me clarify. Those prices don't cause anything, but what they mean is when they're together, that means that so many people were transacted at those prices that once you rip through them, those people have to cover. They get stopped out. Okay, so that's what happened. All right, so let's look at what's going on in this market here. Okay, now the most traded price of the week is still up here. Okay, most likely it's going to move down here. Okay, that's most likely what it's going to do. We're right around here, this green box here, which is 39.18. That's the most traded price of 2023. Okay, so that's kind of where the market went right back to, building out some value here. All right, so what do we have here? I'm going to zoom this in a little bit, okay? We can get a real nice picture of what's going on here. So let me move this up. Okay. So yesterday's high, right? Couldn't fill the gap. So now we have this gap above us. Couldn't fill it. Okay. So there's yesterday's low. Right about at the 100-day moving average. Okay. Now today, very, very balanced profile. I mean, this is like a perfect profile. Price is right at the most traded price of the overnight, which is 39.24. Okay, we're inside yesterday's range. Okay, I said okay about 4 million times now. I'm sorry, and I apologize for that because that could probably sound annoying. However, very important here, balance. You can't get any more balance as I'm speaking than right here. Okay, I just said okay again. Pulling myself out. So let's look at this. That doesn't tell us a lot of what's going to happen today. However, what that does tell us is most likely, this price around here, somewhere in here, is going to bring down the most traded price of the week lower. Okay, that's going to be bearish, because if you can bring the most traders price of the week, now I will make this lower so everybody can, I'm going to bring this down a little bit so everybody can see. Okay, because what happens here is price, is value going to follow price? Like, is this most traded price of the week going to follow price, or is price going to return back to value? That's really how the market structure works with the volume profile. Okay, you see the volume building out here. Okay, if it can't, it's going to go back to previous value. However, I think it's going to build it out here. This will move down here. Most traded price of the week will match the most traded price of the year. And then again, we might balance here. Okay. So, not much to read into on price action right now. There's not much to glean from it. Okay? There's just not. We're in the middle of yesterday's session, in the middle of the overnight range. You know, my opinion, we have a supply zone here and have a demand zone here. That's where you're going to look to be active. That's where you're going to look to be active. This is all chop inside here. You want to get chopped up. If you're a scalper, I understand. But otherwise than that, don't get chopped up. Okay? Let's look at that NASDAQ. Now the NASDAQ, okay? NASDAQ is stronger, okay? Now let's look at what we did yesterday, right? And you can see the profiles even looks a little different. But let's see what we did yesterday. So we couldn't fill the gap in the NASDAQ either, hence the gap right here. Okay, so we got yesterday's high, yesterday's low, price, overnight high, overnight low, inside yesterday, right? The difference is in the NASDAQ is settlement was here, price is here, okay? ES is barely up, the NASDAQ's doing good with the Netflix and the Google, okay? Now, still not the easiest thing to read, okay? But however, the most traded price of the week is up here. If we stay down here and move this down just like in the ES, then most likely we make another leg lower. That is not a guarantee. That's just usually what happens. Okay? So, not a lot to read. Again, you have a supply zone up top with a gap, and you have a demand zone here. So that's your places to be active. Okay? We're also the monthly VWAPs here at 11273. Okay. Let's look at a little longer term chart so I can show you guys. And what happened just on a volume profile type of scale. So every blue profile is a weekly. Every white outline is a monthly. So you can see here very easily by the months or one time framing higher, making higher lows, okay? As long with the weeks, higher lows, right? You can see that. Every candlestick's a 4-hour candlestick. Okay? So I was saying prior to the day we dropped, I said the most traded price of this year and of the rolling year they were right here. And I said if we drop, we're gonna go here. Look what we did. Boom. Right here. Alright. So now we got a couple nodes here. We have one here and here. So if we do this, we're probably going here first. And when I say here, I mean 38.25. around. All right, then you got lows here around 37.92. All right, let's look at the Nasdaq. Let's look at that picture, how that looks. Okay, so you get the white profile here is this year, so we have the most traded prices right here. That's where price is now, is right here. Okay, you can see the Nasdaq. Higher low on a weekly, higher low on a weekly. However, this is the big difference. If you can see this, you can't see this one here. Actually, I'll move it over for you guys so you can see the month. There we go. There's this month's low, this month's low. Notice that's the same, and this month's low. So 3 equal lows in these months. This is very susceptible to get broken. Okay, you don't have the higher lows like you did in the ES. Okay, in the weeks you do. Right here you got higher low, higher low, higher low. Okay, so now that we're looking at that and you see that that low is very, very, very weak, and we're talking around 107.45. Okay, 107.45. So again, we were balancing up here on this big node. This node here is the most traded price of the rolling year. That's where we were. Okay, we topped out there, and look where we went. Boom, to the next big node. And now that just happens to be the most traded price of this year, right? Now we have another big node here. So we could make a pit stop here. Okay, and then going down to those lows, we have a big node here. So what could those levels be? We got 112.05 and 109.61. And then, like I said, that low of that 107.43 down there is really bad. Okay, it doesn't have a lot of excess there. It's begging to be broken. All right, we'll just have to see. Okay, we'll just have to see. All right, hit you in my watch list. Let's go over to the hourly charts. Let's look at what we're looking at. There's not much to glean. The only thing I have here is, you'll notice a trend line that's been pretty consistent. So, you know, we came from up here. Now you can see the most traded price of this year, 3,999.50. Right? That's that fiery box here. This green box now is tracking the most traded price of 2023. Okay? Just pointing that out for you guys. Now, move down. Now check this trend line out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times it's been resistance. That's a pretty powerful trend line. 8 times that's been hit and it's been rejected. Okay. However, you got the most traded price of this year right here. So this is going to be a tough trade to get through it. But if we hit it, and cut through the most traded price of the year, there's demand here, and you got the 100-day moving average. But then you could at least maybe expect to go down to 388.91. Okay, so you got some resistance at 39.31. Okay. So that's what I'm looking at as far as what I'm going to be watching here. Okay. So this trend line's been pretty powerful right now until it's broken. Okay, if it's broken, then you wait. You got supply zone up here to see what happens up here. Okay, if it holds, we could be looking for this demand zone here, and you see how it reacts. Because we could come in, keep hitting this trend line, and go lower. I have to see though. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm looking at levels wise. Right. Let's look at the Nasdaq very quickly. Now, the Nasdaq had a trend line too. It was broken. So there's the tail of the two markets, right? So we have this trend line that started here. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it was broke. But now, right? Difference in the cues are stronger, right? We have this resistance at 114.51.75 with a gap that was not filled yesterday. What's above it? A nice supply zone. So that's really this area. You want some buyers to have strength, you got to break through this. And what lies above that? The most traded price of this year, which is 115.19. Okay, 115.19. Most traded price of the rolling year, 117.15. All right, so right now we're below the most traded price of the week, the most traded price of the last year, and the most traded price of this year. We're all below that right now. That's bearish. Okay, that is bearish. So this is what I'm going to be interested in here: how we handle the gap in the supply zone. We broke trend. Okay, we broke trend. And actually, let me see if there's a trend to even recognize here now. Let's see. I mean, you can call this right here. Got some higher lows. This is hourly chart, so I not gonna pay attention to that really. I need to have at least 3 hits to me to. I want to make it a good trend line like I have in the ES. Okay, so the ES and Nasdaq are not on equal footing right now, so that's important. Okay, let's move over to market profile. All right, very easy today. Very easy today. Let me give me 1 sec. I just noticed that I had a level that I did not transfer over here. Okay, I want to put that level on the chart so everyone sees it. Okay. All right, let's look at what I'm looking at today and all I'm interested in today. All right, what I'm looking at is to play the edges. Okay, I know I got supply gap above here, supply zone, and a gap with this 39.44 resistance. Okay, also have the 9 daily EMA up there, right here. So right now we're in the sellers have the upper hand right now. Okay, so my bias is probably more to the short side. Okay, so if we happen to come up here, I'm going to be looking to see how the market reacts here, and we could come right back down, hit the most traded price of this year, and possibly go back down to the lows. Okay, as far as anybody's interested in the long side, if we do come down in here, okay, we can possibly come down here, hit the 100-day moving average, see how we handle the demand zone, and maybe we come back up. Now, since I feel we're more in a bearish stance right now, we could balance around here, the most traded price of this year and yesterday. Okay, that's what I'm interested in. Now, there is a play. If anybody's interested, if you want to play off the open, anytime, let's get a different color here. Anytime you're inside the session of yesterday, right? And the most traded price is right here. Usually you retest this. Usually you test it. You hit this area. And that could mean open, come up here, boom, hit it. And that could mean straight going to it. And it's also the most traded price of this year, so that's in the cards. It's harder, it's difficult to set up because because the openings are so violent. Okay. Now, I didn't mention this before, but I should have. Now that if we're talking about the Nasdaq, now Nasdaq is stronger. Okay, you got to respect it a little bit. We have a weak high. Okay. So this is very interesting here. If we move higher and bust this weak high, there's shorts up here. Now we have the gap again, and the supply zone up here. So really have to keep an eye on this move. If we do that, then I'm going to start to look for time to start shorting those bounces. Okay, but you have to be careful with Netflix, Google being strong. Don't know what they'll do off the open. Okay, and it's operations expiration, so that could be even cause more volatility. Have to just see. Okay, you got some news coming out at 10 as well, so that's what I would look to go short, and maybe we take care of all these longs, come back to that most traded price of yesterday, and back down to this demand zone. All right, and then same thing as the ES, come down here and then look to go long, to go to this range. Doesn't mean it has to go long, right? And again, both scenarios, I didn't give it, but we could break out of this to the downside, or to the we could just break out of it. That's in the cards too. But today should be interesting. Okay, should be interesting. With the markets not as in sync, that's sometimes harder. So you have tech stronger than the ES. If you want to short, I would probably go ES. Long, go with the Nasdaq, depending, of course, how they open. Right, could all change on the opening. That's all I have for you guys today. It's Friday, so enjoy the weekend. Stay green. Give me a comment, like, or subscribe as always. And if anything I know, I will update. If only something of importance, I will update. All right. Everybody have a great weekend and good luck today.